It's Astros baseball from Emerald City. We're live from Safeco Field tonight in Seattle, Washington. A beautiful day, but a very cool night here as we are getting you set for Game 3 of this 4-game series between the Astros and the Mariners. Astros improving to 11-7 with the 4-1 win over the M's last night, thanks to a big swing by Brian McCann. But tonight, another good matchup on the mound with Mike Leake, the right-hander, going for the Mariners against the right-hander for the Houston Astros, Garrett Cole, who's been spectacular through his first 3 starts. 36 strikeouts already as he's racked him up. It's been impressive, but so has the entire starting rotation. Let's just look back through the last turn in this starting staff, or this starting rotation, starting with Friday with Garrett Cole and the 14 strikeouts that he had against Rangers hitters, and then Charlie following that up. Justin Verlander going 8th that night, just allowing that 1 earned run with 11 Ks. Dallas Keuchel finally putting it together with 8 innings, a complete game loss for him. And then, of course, Lance McCullers, who had such a great start last night, a great bounce-back start for him, coming off a career worst there in Minnesota. So impressive stuff for Lance and the other guys, but they've done what they've been doing all season long. It's the offense they're hoping to get going with this club, because the starting staff has been one of the best throughout the league. Strikeout leaders in the American League, 3 of them right here on this Astros club, wearing those Astros uniforms. AJ Hinch saying today, not really surprised when you're rolling the type of guys, the type of elite pitchers out there night after night, and they're feeding off of each other. It's definitely been fun to watch, and they're enjoying watching each other go out there every night. Coming up from here at Safeco Field, it's going to be Todd Callis and Jeff Blum breaking it down, talking a little more about tonight's starter. Don't go anywhere.
Starts. Last time out, a career high 14 strikeouts. His previous career high was 12. He did it a couple of times in a Pirates uniform. 36 strikeouts in his first 3 starts with a new team. That's never been done before. And tonight he makes his 4th start as an Astro, trying to do something that even Nolan Ryan didn't do, and that is strike out in 4 straight starts, 11 or more. Nolan and Cole, the only guys with 3. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Safeco Field in Seattle, getting ready for another night of Astros baseball. Todd Callis alongside Jeff Blum. Plummer, we'll talk more about Cole in a little while, but last night, good to see the Astros finally get a big hit.
They needed to get that timely hitting, and I think that's really been the issue to back up this phenomenal pitching. As they go out there, they do their job. They've been waiting for that one big hit. We talked about how they're getting their walks, they're getting the base hits, but finally last night, they got off the schneid with a big McCannon ball that put him over the top. That was nice.
We could see another one tonight. He's back in there in the lineup, and he'll be catching Garrett Cole.
Yeah, Garrett Cole has gotten off to an electric start. He said he was excited about being in that Astros uniform, but I had no idea he was going to be this excited where he was going to go out and just punch out the world, it seems like. 14 punch-outs in that 7 innings against the Texas Rangers back home. It was just amazing to watch him get away from that 2-seam fastball, get on the 4-seam fastball. We heard him talking about it in an interview. When he is commanding the fastball on both sides of the plate, it makes him that much more effective. He gets that breaking ball, that slider working, but I also think it's a little bit of the Brent Strom effect, encouraging these guys to pitch up in the zone. And I think another thing with that 4-seam fastball that we're starting to see is added velocity. Consistently at 95, we've seen him touch 99, almost 100 miles an hour with that heater.
Garrett Cole making his 4th start as an Astro tonight. It'll be the first time he's ever pitched in Seattle at Safeco Field. Starting lineups are being brought to home plate. We'll have those starting lineups for you in the first pitch as we roll on a Wednesday night. Astros and Mariners, Game 3 of this 4-game series right around the corner. Is brought to you by Arctic, overbuilt, not overpriced, and by Volkswagen. Jose Altuve playing in his 1,001st game tonight as we welcome you back. The sun is going down here in the Pacific Northwest as the Astros take on the Mariners. Both teams winning a game so far in this 4-game set. Here's how the Astros will line things up tonight in Game 3 of this 4-game series. George Springer at the very top. He hit a home run to get this series going. But that would be the only run the Astros would score on Monday night. Jose Altuve batting in the 2nd spot. Carlos Correa, 3. Josh Reddick hits cleanup tonight. That means Yuli Gurriel drops down to number 5. Marwin Gonzalez giving Alex Bregman the day off at 3rd base. Brian McCann behind the plate. Evan Gattis DHs, and Derek Fisher is in left field.
Mike Leake, he should look familiar to some of the Astro fans. He has pitched in that National League Central with both the Cincinnati Reds and St. Louis Cardinals. He is 6-4 lifetime in 10 starts against these Houston Astros with a 3.29 ERA, and also we've seen amazing numbers on the Astros side. These are some of the other numbers that you're going to see. Mike Leake, that contact percentage is 10% higher than the major league average. The hard contact percentage is incredible at 45%. He usually has that good sinking fastball, a little bit of a slider and changeup. He will try and speed himself towards home plate. Doesn't have much time in between pitches, trying to get those hitters off balance.
First pitch was a breaking ball, curveball coming in at 78 miles an hour that missed, and the second one he backs it up with another one to George Springer, and it's 1-1. Mike Leake coming over to the Mariners, having spent the entire career prior to that in the National League. Springer rips one into left center field. That'll be down for a hit. D. Gordon does a great job diving to stop that and keep Springer to first base. Excellent defensive play to start the night, but Springer with a base hit.
It's a good start. Might have been a little bit of a cut fastball. Just mixing itself up out over the plate. George knows exactly what to do with it. He did a great job of getting the foot down and being patient. And I do have to give credit, like you did, Todd, to D. Gordon for cutting that off and keeping George at first base.
Like his old second base days, keeping one on the infield. He kept that one in the outfield and not allowing it to go to the wall. The Springer hit that very hard, and Gordon had to cover a lot of ground. This one slowly hit off the bat of Altuve. They get the force at second. Cano, a quick turn and a double play.
And that's what Mike Leake can do when he's right, is get the ground ball, induce that ground ball. Much like Dallas Keuchel, right-hander Mike Leake has a very good sinker.
So now he'll face Carlos Correa. Blummer mentioned Leake spending his career in the National League with the exception of 1 month last year and the first month this season. So guys like Carlos Correa, most of the guys in the lineup have not seen Leake. Altuve and Marwin were around long enough to have seen him, and McCann and Gaddis over in the National League have seen him. Josh Reddick, also in interleague play, has 3 at-bats against Mike Leake. But Correa facing him for the first time, down to the count 0-2. Astros losing the opener of this series 2-1, came back for a 4-1 win last night. Leake has gone at least 6 innings in every start at Safeco Field as a Mariner. 4 last year and 2 so far this season. Correa stays alive. He showed that contact percentage right out of the gates. He has not had a lot of swinging strikes this year. In fact, he has a 3.9 swinging strike percentage, 5th lowest in baseball. Be a vast difference in those 2 pitchers tonight.
Put up the hard contact numbers also. That base hit by George Springer. 114.7 miles an hour off the barrel.
Been more impressive for Gordon to go and get that and keep that to a single, which enabled them to turn a double play on Altuve. Out of play. One of the reasons why Leake is not getting a lot of swinging strikes. That velocity a little bit down. He has not used that fastball as much. Averaging right around that same area where Dallas Keuchel is. Right around 89 miles an hour with the fastball. He's going to the cutter a lot more, trying to pick up strikeouts that way. Inside misses the inside edge. It's 1-2.
This is where it'll be interesting if he uses that cutter on the inside corner. Tried to run that fastball in to move Carlos a little bit. Kind of plant the seed on the running fastball. Now if he throws something that cuts on that inside corner, see if Carlos can whack it. There you go.
Had him set up nicely, and Correa goes down swinging. Does pick up a strikeout on the cutter. That's over 60% of his strikeouts this year. play, scoreless in the first, and now we head to the bottom half, and that means it's time for Garrett Cole to make his fourth Astros start.
And Garrett Cole is the exact opposite of Mike Leake. Mike Leake pitches a contact. Garrett Cole attacks the strike zone, but in doing so, he induces a lot of swing and misses. His K/9 is at 15, almost 15 and a half. He is throwing strikes almost 70% of the time. And oh, by the way, what'd you say Mike Leake was at as far as swinging strikes? 3%?
3.9.
3.9. This guy right here, 19%. It's 9% above the league average right now.
Yes, those numbers are outrageous.
It's insane to look at that and see that those numbers are the way they are.
That's why he's in the same sentence as Nolan Ryan as we begin the night, as D. Gordon takes a fastball outside for ball one. Very similar to the Astros, who haven't seen a whole lot of Mike Leake because he's been in the National League. D. Gordon rips one into center field as he finds that fastball to his liking at 95 and delivers a single into center. Starting defense for the Astros, presented by Xfinity. For the first time all year, Alex Bregman gets the day off, so the left side of the infield has Marwin Gonzalez and Carlos Correa. Altuve and Gurriel on the right side. In the outfield from left to right, Derek Fisher in left getting a start against Mike Leake. George Springer in center, Josh Reddick in right. And back behind the plate for the second straight game is Brian McCann. Here's Gene Segura. Segura coming in batting the exact same as D. Gordon to start the night. He swings at the first pitch and sends it high in the air to center. Springer has it lined up. Gordon's going to bluff a go, and George's throws a strong one. They actually make a quick throw to see if they can get Gordon off the bag. Segura flies out to center on one pitch. Cole's last start, he allowed just 3 hits. 2 of them were solo home runs. His first start as an Astro, 2 hits. 1 of them was a solo home run. In between against the Padres, just 5 hits allowed. That early hit by D. Gordon to start the game for the Mariners. It's unusual for Cole to start out of the gates working from the stretch. Robinson Cano takes a called strike.
I know Gene Segura is a pretty aggressive hitter, but with D. Gordon getting on so quick, and I figured he'd give him a couple pitches to utilize his wheels and put himself into scoring position, but swinging early for that quick 1 pitch out.
Only hit allowed last night by Lance McCullers Jr. was a Robinson Cano home run on an 0-2 pitch, his first time up. It was on a curveball that was down around his knees, but he sent it out to center field.
Just a very good professional AB by a guy who can swing the bat pretty good, especially against the Astros.
Cano on the year is hitting .636 against the breaking ball. That's the best in baseball. But Cole ahead of him, 0-2. There is a breaking ball. He grounds it foul.
Nice play.
Cano in his career has only faced Cole twice. 3 plate appearances, but 2 at bats. He does have a sac fly. In the dirt, picked by McCann. 1-2.
Early attempt at a changeup for Garrett. Should be a pretty good test for Lance. Not that Texas and San Diego don't put out some big league lineups.
D. Gordon 8 for 8 now in steals as he takes second base on that 1-2 pitch. Almost overslid the bag, and Correa kept the tag on him.
You expect that to happen quite a bit with D. Gordon out there. McCann has done a better job with the catch and throw. We've seen a little more velocity. He's not so much on the pop time. He's trying to make up for it with his arm. That's a pretty good jump by a guy, if you didn't notice, is pretty quick.
On the ground, backhanded by Gurriel. Cole covers, nice play. Hughley going into the hole, retiring Robinson Cano. On the play, Gordon moves to third.
Very nice play by Hughley. I was kind of curious with Bregman having the day off if they would have moved him over to third base and flipped Marwin over to first, but they're keeping it a traditional infield that we've become accustomed to. But a good job, and you can see once the first baseman commits, even in the shift situation, he's just got to go and make the play, and he does. Good look at it on our Mattress Firm Supermo, throwing back across his body in a pretty good feed.
Now Cole will face Nelson Cruz. Swings to the first fastball he sees and pops it up. Right on the foul line is Gurriel, and he puts it away. So a base hit, a stolen base, one man left on base. We're through one, scoreless.
Poll. Remember to follow us on Twitter at ATT Sportsnet SW so you can vote. Which element of a baseball team is most important to winning? Dominant starters, pitching staff, depth, lineup consistency, or 2 to 3 offensive stars? Let us know what you think. We'll let you know which one wins later in the broadcast. TK.
All right, Julia, send your votes to @ATT Sportsnet SW as Josh Reddick leads off and takes a pitch down and in from Mike Leake. It's 1-0. Reddick getting the start in the cleanup spot tonight. We saw Correa there most of the season. Then last night, AJ mixing it up by moving Altuve to the 2 spot and Correa 3. That was with Gurriel batting cleanup, and tonight it's Josh's turn. And he's ahead of the count 2-0. Reddick last night had a streak snapped. He had reached in all 11 of his starts prior to last night, but he went 0 for 4. He starts this one off with a pop-up into shallow right center field that Robbie Cano makes the play on for the first out. Mentioned Leake and Cole, long time together in the National League. They have matched up 7 times now. First time as American Leaguers. In fact, Leake has more at bats against Garrett Cole in his career than any other pitcher. Facing Yuli Gurriel. Yuli keeps hitting the ball hard, but keeps hitting it at people. Last night he ended up 2 for 5, but easily could have been 4 for 5. Takes a pitch away. It's 1-1.
Cole and Leak are also Pac-12 products. Garrett Cole, UCLA, Mike Leak, Arizona State University. And Leak got to the big leagues in a hurry.
They didn't even send him to the minors.
That's why I said hurry.
Only the 21st player ever that went right from college.
And you would expect a guy with Garrett Cole stuff to be rushed to the big leagues as opposed to a guy like Mike Leak.
21 players in the history of the draft. The MLB draft started in 1965. Have gone from the draft to the major leagues. Leak being one of them. 13th pitcher. Breaking ball, and he freezes Gurriel. 2 strikeouts for Leak. Ely goes down looking for the second out. Well, he was taken number 8 overall by the Cincinnati Reds out of Arizona State in 2009. The 2009 draft was very interesting for the Mariners.
Can we get a do-over?
The other frustrating part for Mariners fans was that the year before they had the number 1 pick going into that last week of the season. In fact, going into the last weekend of the season, still looked like they were going to get the number 1 pick, and most people assumed it was going to be Steven Strasburg. They swept the Oakland A's the last weekend, did the Mariners, while the Washington Nationals were being swept in Philadelphia. Nationals get the number 1 overall pick. Mariners end up with number 2. Nationals have Steven Strasburg. A couple of all-star teams the last 2 years. Top 5 Cy Young Award winner. And the Mariners selected Dustin Ackley, big-time prospect out of North Carolina, but he has not panned out certainly the way Strasburg has.
Or that Trout guy.
A lot of people missed on Trout. But who knows? I mean, this team hasn't been, Mariners haven't been to the postseason since 2001. It's the longest drought of the 4 major sports. And became the longest drought when the Buffalo Bills got into the playoffs this past NFL season. Marwin Gonzalez has single to left, and now Leak facing Brian McCann. Inside McCann is 2-0. Brian coming off a huge game last night. Walked a couple times, was hit by a pitch, and hit a home run. Home run was a big one, gave the Astros a 3-1 lead. So 2001, the last time the Mariners made it to the postseason, they won 116 games that year. Set a record. And they have had some close calls since, but never gotten back to the postseason.
Probably one of the more disappointing postseasons in Seattle Mariner history.
McCann takes all the way on the 3-0.
Win 116 games to get knocked out in the first round of the division series by the New York Yankees.
Slicing the other way, and with the shift on, this ball could be trouble, and it is, and it stays in play, which means a run will score. No, yeah, they're going to say somebody touched that ball. Another not. Marwin stopped running for some reason, and now he scores.
Play through the whistle.
Marwin fooled me. I thought it was in play, and then Marwin stopped running, but then he went home to score the first run. Excuse me, that's a Brian McCann RBI double. That never touched the fan.
So if it's just a double, is it just a McCann ball?
Yeah, it's not a McCann end ball. That's right.
Continue the hot hitting, using all parts of the field. It's good to see him pitch up and away. Just go with it. Almost an excuse me swing. Surprised himself, tailing away from Gamble. And I agree with you. Hopefully on the Mattress Firm Supermo. Yeah, nowhere near a fan. I'm not sure what Marwin was holding up for.
Fortunately, it was botched around a little bit by Ben Gamble. It was not a clean catch of the baseball off the wall, because had he gotten it back in quickly, watch Marwin's route. He's, for some reason, was fooled on this ball.
He's got a great jump and making great turns all the way through third. I wonder if he was anticipating, just in watching the flight of the ball and where it hit, he just anticipated that it was going to jump into the stands instead of just following through on it. He lucked out.
It works out for the Astros. Here's a foul ball at the plate, and Evan Gaddis is down 0-2. He may have been fooled by the fact that Gary wasn't even waving him home. He just maybe gave him the verbal, go home.
The play's in front of him until he gets around third,
right.
But
it was unusual. He fooled me. But it's a 1-0 Astros lead. Brian McCann continues to be hot in Seattle. Bounces in there. It's 1-2. Evan was on base 3 times last night. Couple of hits and a walk. Good to see him getting back in the swing of things. Pushing that average back up over 200. It's 212 to start tonight. Watching the highlights last night after the game, it was the combo of Brevin and McGaddis celebrating that home run at home plate afterwards when they both took off their helmets. It was a beautiful thing to see.
How did we miss that?
I know.
Gosh.
Now they
unique sighting.
Now they can do it in reverse with McCann on second and Gaddis batting. Although a breaking ball is going to freeze Gaddis. That'll be it for the Astros in the second inning. Everybody's confused. Mike Leake thought that was the second out of the inning, but the inning's over.
Jewelry from the Jostens World Championship Collection, available at the ballpark and online all season. The collection features pieces for women, men, and children. For more info, visit astros.com/theream. Garrett Cole becoming the second pitcher in Major League history to start a season by recording 11-plus strikeouts in 3 consecutive starts. He joins Nolan Ryan. He was told that after that last start and couldn't really believe it. Kind of had a chuckle to himself, and he said, wow, it's obviously thrilling. But of course, it was all about what the team did that night and being able to get the win over the Rangers, of course, in a strange fashion as they did that night. But then asked again about some of the records he's setting, he said, you know what, maybe later I'll look at it over a glass of wine and kind of think about what I've done. But right now, we're just focusing on putting up as many wins as we possibly can, TK.
All right, Julia, it's remarkable. His career high had been 12 in terms of most strikeouts in a start. Did that twice as a Pirate. He is averaging 12 strikeouts a game as an Astro. 11, 11, and 14 in his 3 starts. And it's 2-1 on Kyle Seager. Go figure early on, though, Mike Leake's the one who was struck out 3. And he didn't have trouble. He was having trouble striking out anybody before tonight. And Garrett Cole did not have a strikeout in the first inning.
Baseball's a really normal game like that for us. You state the obvious and the reverse happens.
Cole's got a chance for his first punch out here facing Kyle Seager. The guys that have been over in the American League, as we mentioned, haven't seen a whole lot of Cole. Nelson Cruz hadn't an at bat against Cole before his first time up.
Well, that was one of the things I was going to try and get to, is that Garrett Cole, not that Texas has a bad lineup, not that San Diego has a bad lineup, but this is a very good hitting lineup in the Seattle Mariners, and they're off to a hot start. So it's going to be interesting to see how he maneuvers himself through this game. Because before it was just fastball inside, fastball outside, wipe out slider. And that's a good start right there. Our best in Texas power pitch is presented by Ford. Back on Garrett Cole. Spin to win. I say it a lot, but the spinning is winning. Especially when you got the stuff like Houston Astros starting pitchers do. Spin has usually the result of swing and miss, and it's happened quite a bit for Garrett Cole. And a lot of the reason you're seeing these on 2-strike counts is because he's done a good job early in the count with the fastball, getting ahead and taking command. Boom.
Right on the edge at 95, facing Mitch Haniger. First matchup between these two. Plummer said earlier these two pitchers are kind of opposite, at least with their results in 2018. He wasn't kidding. Not just the strikeout situation, but when Leake's going well, he gets a lot of ground balls. Garrett Cole doesn't get many ground balls. 6th lowest ground ball percentage in his first 3 starts. He gets a lot of strikeouts, and he's ahead 1-2 on Haniger, facing Mitch for the first time. Haniger coming in with a team leading 4 home runs and a team leading 15 runs batted in. Haniger hits a lot of fly balls, at least so far this year. Garrett Cole strikeouts and a lot more fly balls and ground balls, especially after watching Keuchel and McCullers, who just live with the ground ball. And you get Garrett Cole, more of a fly ball pitcher. And tomorrow you see Charlie Morton back to the ground ball. No swing, and the count has run full.
Mitch Haniger's having a tough time taking a full swing in this series. They've been pitching him incredibly tough. Another check swing on a slider, but again, early in this count, or in this AB, we saw a changeup thrown. I don't know if Mitch Haniger or anybody in Seattle is watching this game, but it seems to be the book that you can throw right-on-right changeups to Mitch Haniger.
Comes back later in the sequence with his firmest fastball of the night at 97. Haniger fouls away. When Cole gave up that base hit to D. Gordon on the fastball, that was a rarity. Hitters coming in 0.79 against Cole's fastball. That's the best in baseball. Probably will challenge Haniger again here. 3-2. He does, and Haniger fouls it back again at 97.
97.
So this is where Brian McCann goes to work. He's seen a couple of swings from Haniger on the 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Does he now go to the breaking ball? Garrett's got a good enough one that you can triple up and still get a hitter. He does triple up, and he gets a high fly ball into center field. George Springer calls everybody off and puts it away.
Pitch usage in the last 3 seasons versus this season. Breaking balls, sinkers, and the big one I want you to look at is nothing. Set you up again. Is the fastball, and that's the 4-seam fastball, and the average against it is incredibly low. He has gotten rid of that 2-seam sinker, and I think that's where he found a lot of his issues with Pittsburgh, is that 2-seam running fastball coming into right-handed hitters led to some big home run numbers last year. Getting away from that 4-seam fastball up and on the edges sets up the off speed.
That is a great graphic for a number of reasons as he faces Ben Gamel with a 1-0 count, because it illustrates the big difference. And we talked about it this spring when we saw him, how the Astros were looking for him to maybe go a little more primal and throw more 4-seam fastballs and fewer 2-seams. But it's one thing to state it. It's another thing to go out and execute it and have the success he's had. And now he believes in that sequencing more than he ever has.
No, it's a great point. It's one thing to talk about it, write it down on a piece of paper, tell yourself, hey, in the bullpen, I'm doing it. But you got to get on the bump and make it happen, and the early success has probably encouraged him quite a bit.
That is a beautiful pitch on the inside corner to Gamel. It's 1-2. Ben Gamel just off the DL.
congrats. You're back in the big leagues. You're facing the world's leading strikeout pitcher.
Had an oblique strain just activated today. Ariel Miranda, who we saw earlier in this series, was sent out. He actually pitched last night. Went 5 innings of 1-run baseball, but the Astros had base runners all night long against them. Erasmo Ramirez also pitched in a rehab game last night, so he could be joining the rotation soon. Miranda does not come back. 1-2 the count. 2 outs, nobody on. No chase there. It's 2-2. Mentioned Cole has not pitched here at Safeco Field before. He has faced the Mariners in Pittsburgh back in 2016, and he pitched a complete game against them.
Do you see how many pitches he threw in that complete game? 93.
That's efficient.
That's amazing.
You don't see that much.
Yeah, but that's one thing we've also recognized about Garrett Cole being aggressive in the zone, is that even in racking up big strikeout numbers, he's not wasting a lot of pitches doing it.
He struck out 14 the other night in 92 pitches, which has never happened. There's ball sent out of play. It's extended at bat here for Gamble, first AB coming off the DL. And he checks with home plate umpire tonight, Adrian Johnson, to see if that pitch was in fact a strike. Fastball misses the corner, and that's the first walk of the night issued by Garrett Cole. Well, Gamble draws a 2-out walk. Cole walked 3 in his first start as an Astro in Arlington against the Rangers, and only 1 over his last 2 starts. He's gone at exactly 7 innings in all 3 of his starts. Here's Daniel Vogelbach. Swings at the first pitch he sees and fouls it out of play.
You know, getting back to your comment about Brian McCann working with these guys and how he adjusts from pitch to pitch, AB to AB, and count to count almost. Lance McCullers in the pregame actually brought that up and said that he will have conversations, or Brian McCann will come to him and say, hey, the two-seamer's working. Stay with it. We'll use it in this count. If you feel comfortable here, we're going to run that thing out there. So it's an adjustment not only for the pitcher, but it's also for the catcher. And the catcher has a tendency to probably see things a little more clearly than the pitcher when he's out there. But it's encouraging him and talking to him beforehand, and maybe setting up a situation where I've got a Nelson Cruz and a 2-2 count, and that two-seamer's running. Let's see if we can blow him up. And he did last night.
Runner on the move, and the throw is not quite in time. Gamble with the head first slide, just barely beating the throw by McCann. Gamble had 4 steals last season and gets a 2-out stolen base here.
It's a pretty good throw by Brian.
Well, what you spoke of with McCullers.
Pretty good jump by Gamble. Decent pitch to throw on.
And his praise for Brian McCann. I mean, Lance was right there with everybody last year, saying how important he was to that whole pitching staff. As Vogelbach takes a called strike.
Now, the one thing you're going to see that's a little bit different with Brian McCann, last year he was having some issues, and these plays are much closer. This last year, it was a little more of a pop time for Brian McCann, not much velocity or arm strength. This year he's doing a little bit more, and you saw it on that Mattress Firm Supermo where it was a little more catch. I'm going to make sure that I square up my shoulders and get on target before I throw, and make sure I get good arm strength out of that movement.
It seems like he is throwing better this year for sure, and he was working a lot in spring training on that. Back-to-back walks issued by Garrett Cole. A couple of 3-2 pitches that missed to Ben Gamble and now Daniel Vogelbach. And that draws the first visit of the night from Brian McCann.
Yeah, an early stress test for Garrett Cole. We've seen him float along in those first 3 outings that he's had. Now we get a chance to see what he does with a little bit of traffic out there. There was zero traffic last night for the Seattle Mariners with as good as Lance McCullers was going.
And just the 40th time in their franchise history they did not have a plate appearance with a runner in scoring position. McCullers gave up that first inning home run to Robinson Cano. Then allowed a walk later on in the game, and that was it. Lance was dominant. Now Cole will face the number 9 hitter, David Freitas. Freitas tries to check his swing. It's a called strike. Cole, 39 pitches in tonight, has 22 strikes, 17 outside of the strike zone. He's walked a couple in this inning. Freitas, Mike Margema rotating as catchers for the Mariners all season long. Sends a line drive into right. That's going to fall in front of Reddick. Reddick's throw home is going to be in time. Out at home plate is Ben Gamble. Josh Reddick makes a great throw. McCann a great pick at home plate. And the Astros do not allow a run and maintain their 1-0 lead.
Spider-Man out there in right field, and you think the he closed out the biggest game in Astros history, but Charlie Morton is staying humble. We'll also show you the Astros customized gloves. All that and more on Astros Bases Loaded Fridays before pregame and re-airing all week long only on AT&T Sportsnet.
Third inning baseball. The seats that are unoccupied at the top of the stadium in right field have the best view possible. You can see the sun setting right now over the sound. As tonight the Astros and Mariners play game 3 of this 4-game series. First 3 are night games. Day game tomorrow, and then the Astros will head to the windy city of Chicago. Take on the White Sox over the weekend. Derek Fisher at the plate, down in the count 0-1. And now Leake ahead 0-2. Mike Leake, who came in with just 8 strikeouts combined in his first 3 starts, has struck out 3 Astros in the first 2 innings. Picked up a strikeout on a couple of sliders last inning. Tries to get Fisher to chase there. It's 1-2. He's been throwing more changeups this year than he did in the past. And that cutter's been a big pitch for him as well. Fisher then back to the top of the order. Derek 4 for 28 on the season, batting .143. Into center field, on comes D. Gordon, still coming, and he makes that slide, which he likes to do out there as a new position for him. Seems to be comfortable with that sliding catch. There's one away in the third. Now Leake will face George Springer. Some people were surprised last year when Leake was traded from the Cardinals to the Mariners, but Cardinals decided they wanted to go a little younger. Leake now 30.
Fossil.
Yeah. And the Mariners were still in that race. They were 3 games out of the wild card at the August deadline when the Astros acquired Justin Verlander and Cameron Maybin. Same time the Mariners acquired Mike Leake, so he was eligible if the Mariners did qualify for the postseason. St. Louis still responsible for part of the contract, similar to the Tigers responsible for part of Verlander's contract. 2-1 to count to Springer. George into center field. Got underneath this one, and a couple of fly balls to center in the third inning.
He didn't slide.
He couldn't. That was like one of those where you can't slide when you're waiting for it. D. Gordon's definitely a flashy player out there in center field, running the bases.
Dress that thing up.
Yeah, he does.
Go all Jimmy Edmonds on it.
I don't think they're going to give him more points on the StatCast defensive rankings. I don't think there's style points on StatCast. We'll have to check into that. But I don't see any column for style points. Here's Jose Altuve, grounded into a double play his first time, and now chases that first one outside the zone.
I really feel like when we see Altuve get aggressive early in the count, it's with malicious intent.
Think ahead of him 0-2. Jose coming into the night, having played 18 games, has 22 hits.
Doesn't make any sense. He's 364 behind in the count. Come on.
Things he does, quite remarkable. He does take a called third strike there. 4 strikeouts for Leake. That actually matches his season high. We're only in the third.
We are very lucky to be calling games for the Houston Astros. It's a great gig because we get to watch guys like Carlos Correa defend shortstop, and I appreciate a guy who can go out there at 6'4" and all the talent in the world and make it happen. And Carlos moves well to his left, he moves well to his right, and the routine ground ball, he has a good cannon. But for me, some of the top shortstops around the league, Carlos Correa, obviously, Xander Bogaerts, Francisco Lindor, and Drelton Simmons. And the guy who kind of sneaks on that list for me now is Manny Machado, and watching him early on in the season moving back to his natural position. A lot of fun to watch those guys go out there and get it done.
Simmons is the standard bearer. He's the one everybody shoots for in terms of defense. And you know, you're the analyst, but I've seen better range this year out of Correa. A bunt attempt by D. Gordon, barehanded, and that's thrown away down the right field line. Altuve backs it up. D. Gordon's in some trouble if Altuve can find it, but he can't. Altuve could not find the handle. Gordon was hung up between first and second, and Altuve could not grab that ball off the wall as it ricocheted back into play.
You're seeing what speed can do at the top of the lineup. That's one thing the Seattle Mariners have been lacking for a long time, probably ever since Ichiro left. And now D. Gordon, kind of that slasher leadoff guy, forces the issue by laying down a great bunt. And this surface has been absolutely awful for outfielders and some of the infielders. And you can see D. Gordon tweaked a little something there, slipping on the turf behind first base.
Well, he had to go to second because he had already made the turn.
Committed.
And that's why if Altuve would have been able to field that off the wall, they would have had an out. But instead, he's at second base on the error by Cole. So that'll be a hit and an error. And a runner in scoring position for Gene Segura. Cole tried to make a bare hand play and threw sidearm and threw over the head of Yuli Gurriel. Segura flied out to center his first time up. This one towards Correa, runner trying to go to third. Correa thought about it, instead takes the out at first. Sometimes you don't have a lane to throw.
No, and you know what? If you don't have D. Gordon's speed and you're the runner at second base, and you can actually get in the throwing lane of the shortstop. But a good jump. D. Gordon's speed allows him to make sure that ball's on the left-hand side of his body. That encourages you to go to the second base. But what you can also do is change your running lane and get a little bit deeper towards the outfield side, and therefore you can't make that throw to third base as a shortstop.
Now the Astros will bring the infield in, which is always dangerous with Robinson Cano at the plate. D. Gordon on third base and one out. Cole in on the hands of Cano, and it's 0-1 on the foul ball. Earlier I was starting to say right before the bunt, I think Correa's range looks better this year than we saw last season.
No, I agree, and a lot of it has to do with, we heard about Joe Espada, the new bench coach, working with him in the preseason. But they have, there are so many tools now.
Up the middle, this game is tied on the Cano RBI.
There are so many tools out there, video and analytics, that they can break so many things down. I think that some of the ideas that Joe Espada has actually helped Carlos Correa with his first step.
Well, Cole gives up a run that is not on a home run. He allowed 2 solo home runs in his last start. Allowed a solo home run against the Rangers to Joey Gallo in his first start. Did not allow a run to the Padres in his middle start. So that's the first run that has scored this year against Garrett Cole that was not a home run. Here's Nelson Cruz. Cruz takes a 96-mile-an-hour fastball for ball 1. Cruz popped up to first his first time up. The bunt and the speed pays off for the Mariners as D. Gordon gets around the bases on a bunt, an error, a ground out, and a single. Marwin to Altuve for 1, and a little toss over to Yuli to get Nelson Cruz for the double play. Mariners tie it. We go to the 4th. It's 1 apiece. 3 visits. Astros and Mariners tied at 1 heading to the 4th inning. Astros will be back when it'll be much warmer, we assume, in late July into early August. July 30th, 31st, and the 1st of August. And then 2.5 weeks later, 20th through the 22nd, Astros and Mariners will match up 10 games over the span of a little more than 3 weeks from late July into the 3rd week of August. There's Carlos Correa. We're hoping it warms up not just for us, but especially for Julia. 1-0 pitch is on the corner. It's 1-1. Hopefully that White Sox series is the last of the cold weather we have to deal with in 2018, at least until September.
Were you telling me that the Cubs got snowed out today?
3 of the last 4 days. Today included.
Oh my goodness.
Today included, Blummer. That's where we're
good. We're going there.
It's not supposed to snow while the Astros are in town, but it is supposed to be very cold.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been one of those seasons. Over 25 postponements already across Major League Baseball. And until tonight, last night was 51 degrees. Tonight's 54. This is by far the warmest night the Astros have played in on the road this year because they started in Minnesota. Correa, with a count of 3-2, went down on a cutter his first time.
Did you happen to catch any of the open that Julie and I were down there attempting to do?
Can't say that I did.
I had gloves on.
Yes.
It was freezing.
This one chopped towards Julia.
Yeah, I give her a lot of credit for being down there. I know it's the warmest, technically the warmest road game, but it was freezing pregame.
So on the warmest road game, you needed gloves.
Yes.
And we are 6 road games into the season.
Awesome.
This ball's rocking into center field. D. Gordon on the move, still going back, looking up, and it's off the top of the wall. Correa's going to dig for second, and he slides in safely. Just missed a home run by a matter of feet.
That darn baseball wasn't listening. Got pounded on. That is a good sign. Gosh, some hanging cheddar out over the plate. Absolutely punished, but that low trajectory almost got out of here. Looked like it hit the yellow line. But that was a seed off the bat of Carlos Correa. 109.4. High velocity, low launch angle. 20-degree launch angle, 92% hit probability.
That's the way to get it done. Just hit below the yellow line in center field. And here's Josh Reddick.
On our Mattress Firm Supermo, you know we love replaying some of these shots of guys unloading. Really not much of a load as far as hands moving back. So that was a lot of strength by Carlos Correa in that upper body. Normally you see a little bit of a turn or a little bit of the hands moving back away from the pitcher to create that load and drive through, but that was just some man-sized strength. Wow. Apparently Mike Leake likes to do that. That goes to that hard contact percentage that we showed you earlier in the game. 45% coming into this game against Mike Leake.
One the count to Josh Reddick. A high exit velo, not a lot of strikeouts before tonight, not a lot of swings and misses before tonight. Reddick trying to just get the runner to third base as Correa is on second with nobody out. Tries to pull one on the right side and pulls through it too far. It's 1-2. Reddick already has saved a run for the Astros, throwing out a runner at home plate as he gunned down Ben Gamble to end the second. Both teams with a run, both teams with 4 hits. Reddick goes down swinging. Slider's been pretty good for Leake tonight. He picks up his 5th strikeout.
Not a lot of velo on it. 80 miles an hour, but good location, good break.
He throws a slider that's 80, 81. Lance throws a curveball that's 89 or 90.
That's Mike Leake's fastball.
Here's Yuli Gurriel. Yuli struck out on the slider his first time up. He swings through another one. And
Now you're just kind of seeing the Astro hitters commit early on these pitches. I don't feel like they're really being patient, waiting for the break.
Slider comes in around 80 and the curveball around 78. Not a lot of differential in the speed between the curve and the slider. Yuli hasn't looked good on a couple of pitches. It's 0-2. Well, he struck out looking on a slider in the first at bat, and he has swung and missed it on a couple of sliders outside of the zone of this at bat. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go back to the slider. If not on this pitch, then maybe on the next one if they set him up with something else off the plate on this pitch. Oh, right back to it. Why mess with it? 3 sliders and a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 6 for Leake.
Catch one of the best ballpark bargains with the Coca-Cola Ballpark Bundle. $20 gets you a ticket, hot dogs, soda, and popcorn for select weekday games. Visit Astros.com/ballpark-bundle for tickets and info.
Not only was Leake not getting a lot of strikeouts, he was not getting many chases on the breaking ball, and that's all changed tonight. The slider is probably as good as it's been all year, because he has not done this to any other team. The Astros with 6 strikeouts in the 4th inning. Here's Marwin Gonzalez. And he starts him with a fastball for a strike. Marwin singled and scored the Astros' first run. Came home on a double the other way by Brian McCann.
Mike Leake is a guy that you have to trust your hands against. Have faith that you can wait just a little bit longer to recognize the spin, recognize the location, and then get after it.
Down the left field side and out of play, just a couple rows deep. Mentioned Leake went straight from the draft to the major leagues. Didn't pitch in the 2009 season when he was drafted by the Reds out of Arizona State, but did pitch in the Arizona Fall League. So did have some outings, even though it wasn't in the minor leagues. Still quick jump from the campus of ASU right to the big leagues. Fastball up and away, 1-2. Swing and a miss. Leake with 7 strikeouts. Getting them all in the slider that inning.
hashtag #UltimateSWFanNTX on Twitter to show us, and you could win a VIP experience. North Texas, April is your chance to show your spirit, so tweet now and win big. We have lots of Astros fans all the way up in the Pacific Northwest. Ooh. They're asking me what they should eat. I've got some ideas.
Hey, go get you some waffles.
I've got a few things for them. Wasn't there some fans from Alaska?
Yeah, they were.
Today?
Yeah, they were yelling at me in the pregame. They were screaming "Matsu Miners."
Seriously?
Yeah, that was the Alaska League team I played for.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to see them out at the ballpark. They're going to be there tomorrow too, Julia.
Do we officially have fans in 50 states?
Ooh, we could now.
I mean, I have relatives in Hawaii, so I know that we have fans there. We have Alaska fans. We've proved that today. Those are two of the tougher ones. I'm going to go with that until proven different.
Yeah.
South Dakota could be a tough one. North Dakota.
Well, you know what's interesting is we talked about the fans staying up with us on these West Coast games. There's a lot of East Coast fans all along the Eastern Seaboard that we're talking about watching the game.
Seager getting into one, but way underneath this, sent it high in the air, and Josh Reddick right in front of the warning track makes the play. He didn't miss a home run by much. I don't think Garrett Cole's quite found his rhythm tonight.
I completely agree on that. Well, we've got Alaska and Washington nailed down. I'm going to go out on a limb and say maybe Texas too.
You think Texas?
Going out on a limb.
I'm going to say we've got fans in all 50, and then it'll be hard to prove different.
I expect you to figure that out this offseason.
Breaking ball for a strike. Well, Cole right now, and I'm not just saying this, he's out of his rhythm because he only has a one strikeout, but he has not been as pinpoint with his control as we've seen him in the past few starts. And he looks back on the mound. You know, the first start at Seattle, it may take you a while to get adjusted to a new place, a new mound. He's kind of messing with the rubber there, his push-off foot. There's a good one.
Good slider at 88.
But he's been messing around with that mound a little bit after every pitch. Just trying to get that firm footing with his push-off foot ahead of Haniger 1 and 2. The only strikeout of the game came in the second, getting Kyle Seager. Breaking ball back up the middle for a base hit. Mitch Haniger, a one-out single. Cole checking with Carlos Correa as to who's to cover on a comebacker back to the mound, and Correa says, I've got the bag. A hit every inning for Seattle. Here's Ben Gamble. 5 hits overall for the Mariners. Seattle's already stolen a couple of bases. Called strike to Gamble.
We have a lot of North Dakota, South Dakota fans.
They've already chimed in?
Yes, they are tweeting in and representing, and we appreciate you.
All right, so now what's the next toughest state? I just threw those out there. So
just stay up there in Montana.
Would Montana be a tough one? All right, see if we get something from Montana.
There's a couple of Calgarys tweeting in saying that we've got Calgary represented, so we're in the Great White North.
So we got, like, honestly, since we said it, what, 45 seconds to a minute ago, we've got North Dakota and South Dakota already represented on Twitter.
Yep.
Well, we knew Alaska.
We have a lot of fans in South Dakota.
Really? We are big in South Dakota.
We're kind of a big deal.
1-1 to count. Now I'll have to try and get there. I think those are two of the very few states I haven't been to. I think my list is under 10, somewhere in the 5 range.
There you go. South Dakota, South Dakota.
Runner on the move, swing and a miss, and Haniger has himself a stolen base. Third steal of the night for the Mariners. They're trying to get aggressive tonight against Garrett Cole.
Well, they were all rested up because they didn't have much for base runners last night. But also a good pitch to run on, too. That was a changeup, so Brian McCann had to hold his ground behind home plate. Pretty good jump, but again, the changeup and the swing makes it pretty tough for the catcher to come flying out from behind home plate.
Tip caught by Brian McCann, and that is a strikeout. Gamble said did not that ball hit the ground, and he's going to head back to the dugout. He thought he foul tipped it into the ground, but McCann picked it clean. That's a big strikeout.
Well, he can go back upstairs and check the video. That was a good breaking ball right into the glove of Brian McCann. Anybody from Maine? Would Maine be a tough one?
I think Maine, I would go with Delaware might be.
Ooh.
Delaware might be a tough one. So we're throwing it out there. So right now, Montana, Maine, and Delaware.
So I'm sensing a straw poll.
What's the poll? The only place that doesn't have an Astros fan?
Craziest place an Astro fan lives. Utah, Kansas.
Oh, there's definitely
covered. Missouri's covered.
Oh yeah,
Kentucky.
Oh, you're reading through them right now.
Georgia, West Virginia fan.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Well, my wife's family.
Oh, so
everybody's there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Iowa covered.
California's covered with your family.
We're Texans, man.
Your family. You've got family out there. I'm not talking about your immediate family. Yeah, your extended family.
Nevada, New Hampshire.
We're with New Hampshire already, huh? 1-1 pitch. This has become a game now. We're going to try and get all 50 states before Astros After Dark begins. 1-2 on Daniel Vogelback. How did this start?
You started it.
You looked at it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Twitter's going nuts. And we enjoy it.
Runner on second, 2 outs in a 1-1 game. Vogelback takes one inside. It's 2-2. Oh, with the last guy started it. Yeah. Yep. You guys started talking about Alaska. That was my fault. So right now, Montana, Delaware, Maine. We'd like to hear from you on Twitter. If you're an Astros fan, that's the qualification. You can't just. 2-2 pitch, high in the air, center field, playable. Springer, Fisher. Fisher says, "I got it, George." Puts it away. We're going to head to the 5th. Travel around the U.S.
This inning, Brian McCann, who's already driven in one today, going the other way with a double RBI double for him. But last night, you just saw the swing, the 2-run home run with Gaddis on, gave the Astros a 3-1 lead. They eventually won that game, but he said he feels good during this stretch. He said it to me last night in our walk-off interview. He feels good in the cage, feels good in BP. Everything's going well for him at the plate. He's also calling some great games as well. But AJ said you can teach an old dog new tricks, and by that he said maybe not reinventing his swing, but he has changed his bat path a little bit, stays in the zone longer. Blummer, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing a guy who's covering a lot of the plate, and I think it's also a guy who's trying to adjust to these shifts. He's played early enough in his career that they've just started shifting. Now he's got the full-on shift, but it's good to see a veteran guy making those adjustments. If you're going to stick around this league like HOU AT SEA was talking about, you have to learn, you have to adjust, and staying on plane and staying in the zone longer means that he's going to be able to go the other way. And that double that we saw earlier in the game was a pitch just kind of left up out over the plate. Not typically where we see a Brian McCann attack, but because he's in a good position to hit, he's able to react and go the other way.
This one on the ground. Vogelback backs up and he slips, but he's still able to recover and flip to Mike Leake. That's that grass that's been giving way to outfielders. That time almost got Vogelback a little bit. Left a little divot out there and beyond the infield grass dirt cutoff. Here's Evan Gaddis. Well, during that last break, Blummer, we got 2 of the 3 that we called out, Delaware and Rhode Island and Maine, actually Maine. So the only one left is Montana.
And I love the fact that there's a couple people actually saying that they're watching on MLB.TV. So that's a fantastic thing to hear. And I love the fact that everybody's getting involved. This is beautiful.
On the ground to Cano. And Gaddis is retired for out number 2. Mike Leake is cruising along. Speaking of, you can watch every out-of-market Astros game all season long on your favorite supported devices with MLB.TV. Just like a lot of the fans who have been tweeting the Blummer. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Did you have one from Greece earlier?
Yeah, somebody was in Athens, Greece.
Wow.
An Army up in Maine. We've got Arkansas, New Mexico, Nebraska.
Here's Derek Fisher.
Did we cover Delaware?
Yep, got Delaware.
We got another Delaware. We've got another New Hampshire.
We're just waiting on Montana to check in. Still waiting.
Alabama. Wow, Alabama's got a nice man cave.
Here's a ground ball right side. Meanwhile, Mike Leake is just cruising along. He is through 5. He allowed that second inning run, but he's retired now 6 in a row. We head to the bottom of the 5th, 1-1. Net is presented by Rooms to Go. Don't miss the huge store-wide mattress sale going on now. And by Arctic. Overbuilt, not overpriced. Bottom half of inning number 5 from Safeco Field in Seattle. Garrett Cole back for his 5th inning of work, facing David Freitas. Freitas thought he had himself an RBI base hit his last time up, but Josh Reddick threw out Ben Gamble trying to score from second. That'll be the final out of the 2nd inning. But the Mariners came back to score a run in the third on an RBI single by Robinson Cano, and that's where we stand, tied at 1. Freitas fouls one into the crowd. Montana has checked in, Blummer. We thought we had all 50 states covered, and our audience is proving it to us.
Yeah, we are expanding as we speak, and I am thoroughly impressed with everybody that is checking in.
We even saw a South Dakota license plate that said Astros.
Virginia, we saw an Alaskan plate. It's pretty impressive.
Freitas tried to hold up, and he goes around 1-2. Cole, coming off 11, 11, and 14 strikeouts, has struck out 2 so far through 4 innings. Garrett has allowed 5 hits. He's also walked a couple of batters. That one misses. It's 2-2. It'll be Freitas then the top of the lineup for the Mariners. D. Gordon, Gene Segura. There's a strikeout, number 3 for Cole. Gets Freitas with the slider, and that's the first out of the 5th.
There we go. Polson, Montana. Since the days of the Killer Bees.
Joshua. Nicely done.
Like this one too. Mexico City. Good to see you, Enrique. Wouldn't miss a game. Go Stros.
Wow. I love the nationwide and worldwide attention from Astros fans. Here's D. Gordon. He takes a called strike. Gordon has reached base twice. Single to left his first time, then bunted for a hit his last time up. Stole a base. Scored a run. Cole ahead of him 0-2.
D. Gordon's been kind of a nuisance. Doing a good job hitting the fastball. He's done a good job of fouling off curveballs. We saw that last night against Lance McCullers.
Swing and a miss. Cole, who had 2 strikeouts coming into the inning, picks up back-to-back strikeouts in the 5th. Time now to play Name That Astro, brought to you by Nissan. Who am I? Save me. Career ender. Not a way to celebrate his day. If you know, you may want to check out at ATT Sportsnet SW with your answer. Here's Gene Segura. Fly out and ground out. Want to know the count. Ball sent high and deep to left field. Fisher towards the track. He's near the wall. He is leaping, and he makes the catch. Derek Fisher casually throws the ball back to the infield. It looked like it may have had home run distance, and Fisher went up and got it for the final out of the 5th inning. We are tied at 1, headed to the 6th.
to go over there. And if it wasn't for the reaction of the bullpen, I'm not sure we would have known that he made the play. Pretty casual effort on a heck of a catch to help out Garrett Cole. Great scene all the way around with the Mattress Firm Supermo, the reactions, the play, the ecstasy.
I think the bullpen knew before Garrett Cole and the rest of us
I think
knew.
they did too. Now that we watched the replays, you can see their reaction was instant.
Guys were ducking for cover, and out of nowhere came that Fisher glove right on top of the wall. Looked like it was a home run saving catch. Here's George Springer to start this 6th inning. George singled in the 1st inning, flied out to center field. He is 1 for 2. Mike Leake has been very good tonight. He has 7 strikeouts in the first 5 innings. His previous season high was 4. Only had 8 combined strikeouts in his first 3 starts. This one is in and hits Springer right near the hip. Well, George will go down to first base as a leadoff runner in the 6th inning.
All right. I wonder if George keeps his wallet in his left pocket. Might have served as some protection. Hey, it's a start. There's runners on now. Top of this Astros lineup, get things going.
See what Jose Altuve could do. He's grounded into a double play and struck out looking. He grounds one towards Cano. He picks it, flips it to Segura, and they turn 2 for the 2nd time tonight on Jose Altuve. Hit it hard, but towards the Mariners' second baseman.
I'm not going to make Astro fans happy by saying this, but that was a pretty turn. Ball was hit hard, kind of an in-between hop. Cano didn't really get his feet in good position, but great hands to be able to make that pick. Easy flip over to Segura.
So now 2 outs, nobody on, and Carlos Correa, who hit one about 1.5 feet from a home run his last time up, sends one high and deep this time to right field, but not quite as far. Over is Haniger right in front of the warning track. And that'll do it. Springer hit by a pitch, a double play and a fly out of the next 2 pitches, and we are through 5.5.
It's last night's pitching hero, Lance McCullers. Interesting to see him finish off the ball game with the fastball, normally going with that curveball. But he talked about the fact that that 2-seam late in the game, maybe because of fatigue of all things, led to a little bit more movement on that 2-seam running fastball, and it led to his last 3 strikeouts.
It was moving a lot last night. Great to see Lance with a pitch that goes that way. to combat his curveball. That power curve into left-handers, and now that little two-seamer that can go into right-handers or away from lefties. Good to see from Lance. 7 innings of 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 run baseball. Only Robbie Cano with a home run last night. Crossing the plate against Lance McCullers picked up a win. Cole facing Cano for the 3rd time. And it's 1-1.
The down and in slider, the down and in curveball is really the pitch for me early on against these left-handed hitters. Well, I guess we're not early on this game, in the 5th inning, in the 6th inning. But we were seeing a lot of swing and miss from those left-handers in San Diego and Texas on the curveball and slider down and in over the top. But Cole hasn't had the ability to locate that pitch where he wants on that inner third.
This ball skied in the air to left field. Derek Fisher, who robbed a home run to end the last inning, makes an easier play on this one. That's the first out of the 6th. Julia, what do you have?
Well, it was good to hear from Lance after last night, just how well he pitched and executed the game plan, and for a guy to bounce back so early in his career. You know, he's talking about wanting to be a better pitcher, wanting to be a more complete pitcher, and so he's going to have to try some things. There's a little bit of trial and error for him. You know, he's been encouraged a lot by the staff to keep doing that, but also remember your strengths. But I think that the 7 innings, that getting deep into games, was also really important for him. That's something that he's talked about for years now. So getting that pitch count down in those innings and getting deeper into the game so he can be that horse for this squad. I mean, that's one of his goals, is to be one of the main guys in the rotation. And of course he is, but he's got big goals for himself. I think it's impressive to see.
And he completed that cycle of 5 straight starts that included 4 of the 5 pitchers picking up 11 strikeouts or more. Verlander and McCullers ended up throwing 1 hitters while they were in there. And Dallas Keuchel threw a complete game. All that and only 1 win for those starters, and that was Lance last night. Cole 2-0 to Nelson Cruz. Cruz sends one to left field. Fisher is back on it at the edge of the track, makes the play for out number 2. Fisher has made the plays for the last 3 outs in this game. League leaders presented by Houston Methodist. And the AL strikeout leaders belong to the Astros. Gold, silver, and bronze. Although silver and bronze are tied.
Garrett Cole has the least amount of starts out of those guys. And he's leading the way.
Tonight, he's not been on a big strikeout average. Only 4 strikeouts as we play with 2 outs in the 6th. But he did pick up a couple in the last inning as he now faces Kyle Seager. Struck out 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 4th, and 2 in the 5th. With 1 more strikeout, he moves into some pretty heady category, or heady company. He, along with Steven Strasburg, will have struck out 41 in his first 4 starts with the team. And there's only 3 pitchers that have had more strikeouts in their first 4 starts with the team. Chris Sale, 42 with Boston last year. Randy Johnson, 44 with the Diamondbacks in '99, and Pedro Martinez, 44 with the Red Sox in '98. That is nice company to be in. Tonight has not been about the strikeouts so much, but he gets through the 6th with a 1-2-3 inning. A couple of flyouts to left and a ground ball to Carlos Correa. We head to the 7th, 1-1.
or visit attsportsnet.com to stream on your computer. Log in with your cable account and you're all set. Available for those with AT&T Sportsnet in their TV subscription. Blackouts and territorial restrictions apply. We'd like to see this Astros offense get going. They have struggled in quite the stretch here. The games have started to pile on for the Astros, and they're expressing their disappointment, their frustration, but they also have a lot of faith in what they've done in their past and what they know they're capable of doing. Even AJ said, I'm sure you could search last year, a 12-game stretch or so where they were not perfect, and they just don't see themselves scoring the runs like they're used to. But it could be solved with a couple of good games. He said, if you're sensing any panic, you'd be wrong. TK.
Good to hear, and it's just a matter of time, but time has started to lengthen a little bit. At the beginning of the season, we weren't anticipating 19 games in for the Astros to try and find their groove. And first week of the season, they did all right offensively, and the last dozen games or so haven't been so good.
Yeah, and I don't think you or I or even Julie have talked about panic. I think that we all have faith in what they're able to do. I think what you might be sensing, if you see anything out of these Astro hitters, might be frustration because they want to do more. It's just not happening.
Reddick with a 3-1 count to start the 7th inning, and that one is inside, ball 4. We'll see if that'll get the Astros going. Josh Reddick reaches base for the first time tonight.
And the Astros have hit into a little bit of bad luck, Yuli being one of them here early on. That top number up here, the XBA, is the expected batting average. Takes several factors into account, but the actual average is much lower than the expected. A lot of it's exit velocity, launch angles, some great plays being made on some of the hits they're throwing out there. Yuli is a guy who's hit rockets right at people. So there's a lot of factors that go into that.
Hey, Yuli's hit the ball hard since he was activated from the DL. Tonight, notwithstanding, he has not seen the ball well out of the hand of Mike Leake tonight, especially that slider. He struck out on a slider in the second, struck out on 3 sliders in the 4th. He took that first pitch for a ball. And he fouls this one. It's 1-1.
XBA, expected batting average, and expected average based on quality of contact instead of actual outcomes. It removes the defense from the equation. So the barreled baseballs that we've been talking about a lot, the high exit velos, launch angles, hit probabilities, things like that kind of come into play, but you want to take the defense out of it.
Think about 2 at-bats in Monday's game in Seattle that could have been hits. Yuli hit one into right center that Mitch Haniger flagged out. That would have been a hit most times.
Absolutely.
And then he hit a line drive to D. Gordon in the 9th inning. That would have been a hit most times with that launch angle and exit velocity. This ball is ripped down the left field line, and this is a fair ball. It bounds over the wall, which will hold Josh Reddick at third. Yuli Gurriel rips one to left for a double. The Astros in business. Second and third, nobody out.
Just on cue, Yuli Gurriel smashes one down the third baseline, just keeping it fair, which is pretty impressive on that pitch. A little misfortune with it jumping into the seats, but a slider that backs up. And I'm still astonished at the ability of Yuli Gurriel to be able to bring his hands in. The only way you keep this ball fair is by bringing your hands in and keeping that barrel in play. There's a lot of times guys will recognize off speed up and in and absolutely unleash the barrel, and it ends up being a hard hit foul ball. But Yuli, experienced veteran hitter, keeps it fair, and the Astros have something going.
Now Marwin can drive in the go-ahead run. Infield comes in with nobody out, and runners on second and third. Marwin, the RBI leader in 2017 with 90. Has 5 runs batted in the first 18 games. Here's a base hit into center field. Reddick will score. Yuli being waved around. D. Gordon's throw is a little wide. Yuli a head-first slide. 2 RBIs, single by Marwin, and the Astros lead this game 3-1.
Great piece of hitting by Marwin. Had a base hit in his first AB, doing a good job going the other way. Actually kind of curious. Yuli made a turn at third base. Looked a little sketchy in touching third base. Kind of curious if the Mariners might try and check it out, but a great piece of hitting. Doesn't have to be hit hard. You just got to put it in the right place. That's what we keep talking about. That was beautifully done right there, and you could tell how Gary Pettis feels about D. Gordon in center field. The ex-second baseman is now playing center field for Seattle, and instantly, Yuli's not a slow runner, but he's not a speedy runner. But Gary Pettis was going to test the arm of D. Gordon out in center field, and it worked out.
That was the question coming in. Everybody thought D. Gordon would be able to cover ground out there, but the arm was the question. He's never had to make that long throw as a second baseman. And here he is in center field, and Pettis tested him, and Yuli with the head first slide. You can see both Reddick and McCann behind the plate, both motioning Yuli to slide to the outside of the plate as that throw was coming up the first base side. So Marwin with a big 2 RBI base hit. He has scored a run and now driven in 2. McCann sends one to center field. D. Gordon on the move, still running all the way back. It's over his head. Marwin heading to third. Gary Pettis will hold him up there. Brian McCann stays red hot with a double off the center field wall just past the outstretched glove of D. Gordon.
Yeah, that's a tough read from Marwin. You want to try and get all the way to second base and then read it from there. But for a long time, it looked like D. Gordon was going to get a piece of this baseball, if not catch it. Hanging fastball. Brian McCann, the arms are getting extended. He's starting to drive through the baseball, which is good to see. Went out there and got that gap.
Looked like Gordon just missed making a great catch as he got out there in center field. That's going to be the last batter that Mike Leake faces tonight. He had been cruising prior to this inning, but in the 7th inning, the Astros a walk, a double, a single, and a double, and it's 3-1. We'll tell you about the new pitcher when we come back.
Made Park. Check out areas like the broadcast booth, press box, dugout, and much more. Visit Astros.com/tours to book your Astros ballpark tour today.
D. Gordon's been tested this inning, both with a throw when the Astros sent home Yuli Gurriel, and this diving or attempted a catch in center field.
Yeah, it looked like he wanted to dive, but he wasn't sure. He got himself in a position where he could have made the play, but I'm not sure if he knew how to finish off the play. A lot of times, and I'm only speculating, I did play some outfield, but I was never in a position to actually make an incredible diving catch like that would have been. But in the infield, you're used to diving towards the ground, not throwing your body up in the air to try and make that play. And I'm not sure if he got in between steps, but it did look a little uncoordinated.
And the one thing you hear as Gaddis faces a new pitcher, Nick Vincent, about guys learning the outfield is sometimes that ball moves on you as you're running if you're not used to it as an outfielder with those strides.
Yeah, if you're not running on the balls of your feet or on your toes, all of a sudden if you start hitting your heels, that ball will bounce around as you're trying to go make that catch. I know that for a fact.
Evan Gaddis with the infield in, taking a couple of pitches outside. We're seeing Nick Vincent again. Saw him in Monday night's game. Came on in the 7th. This time he comes into a tough situation. 2 on, nobody out. Marwin Gonzalez on third and Brian McCann on second.
Doesn't throw hard, fastball, cutter, a lot of cutters.
Evan into the air to right. This one's shallow. Haniger and Cano converge, and it's going to be Haniger who drops it. Haniger kept looking at Cano and never caught that baseball. Astros catch a break, and it's 4-1. That would not have been deep enough for a sac fly, so the Astros catch a huge break there.
It's eerily reminiscent of a game that we had last year around this same time when Julie ate that one thing that led to a lot of stuff happening on the field, but it was Haniger out there again. It was less confusion last time. It was just a play coming in where Cano was running out, but Haniger took his eyes off the baseball. Cano assumed it was Haniger's the entire way.
It was. It should have been, because Cano was infield in, and Haniger's got to take control with the infield in.
You're right. The outfielder needs to understand where the positioning is in the infield.
And he is running towards the plate with a runner on third. That is his play the whole way. Here's Derek Fisher. And Cano was already peeling off. He made no attempt to make it look like he was going to make that play.
So true.
Astros with a huge break there. That was a simple pop-up that the Mariners botched. Here's Derek Fisher. That's going to go as an error on Mitch Haniger. Fisher swings through the Vincent fastball. It's 0-2. Well, 3 runs in the inning, 2 more threatening. Infield still in.
You hate to belabor the point, but talking about last year and how good that offense was, they were extremely good from this inning on. The 7th inning on, the Astros put a thumping on some of these bullpens.
Fisher takes a called third strike there as Vincent picks up the outside corner.
I'm not too sure many of us believe that was a strike. It's a 1.5 feet off the plate.
That's a rather wide zone right there from Adrian Johnson. We have not seen that before tonight. So it'll be up to George Springer. Infield stays in. They're not quite all the way in because.
Well, I was just going to say, you couldn't pay me enough money to play third base and in on George Springer.
With Brian McCann, the runner on third, they can play at the distance they feel they can still throw out a runner at home plate. And in this case, it's about halfway. Couple of near catches that have gone the Astros' way. Dee Gordon almost caught one in center. Mitch Haniger with an error in right. And the Astros have scored 3 runs. Springer with a 1-1 count. George into right center field, well struck. Dee Gordon all the way back. He looks up, it's off the wall. This will score 2 easily. George into second base. Astros lead 6-1. 2 RBI double by George.
Is that the first time Brevin McGaddis has been driven in at the same time?
They are actually 2 different people. There's proof. They actually almost crossed paths with each other because Gaddis was literally right behind.
They could pass each other on the base paths and we're not going to have any idea.
No, the umpires wouldn't be able to tell.
They wouldn't. But you're going to be able to tell that this ball was crushed off the bat of George Springer. Things are starting to come around a little bit. Eventually you get to that point where you snap and you just go back to your natural ability that the Astros have, and hopefully this is a good sign moving forward. I'm with you.
I have been snacking during this game too. Been hungry.
Colin McHugh was hungry before the game.
6-1.
I'll give you some street cred. Yeah, you did do good.
A little meeting on the mound. Springer with 2 RBIs.
It's good to see you getting some sustenance during this game.
5-run 7th. Astros breaking out with a big 5 spot tonight. Lead at 6-1. Altuve still looking for his first hit. Let's look at the combination of Brevin McGaddis running the bases, because Gaddis knew this was off the wall and McCann was tagging up. So there they come. If they passed each other, the umps wouldn't know.
No clue. You could go to replay and still not know who it is.
Here's a little ground ball. And Segura knows with Altuve's speed, he has to hurry. Altuve saves Springer to third. This inning continues to go the way of the Astros. Only one out in the inning, and runners on first and third.
And that right there is why I always say speed will never slump. Jose Altuve, a simple rollover and puts Segura in a tough spot. He's got a charge, do or die type play. The couple extra steps leads to Altuve getting to first easily with that infield hit, extending this inning.
Altuve with his first hit of the night, and now here's Carlos Correa. Correa hit a ringing double off the top of the center field wall, just missed a home run in his second at bat. He's also struck out and flied out to right.
Did I tell everybody George's exit velo on his double off the top of the wall?
You have not.
Okay, 107.1 miles an hour.
Ooh.
97% hit probability.
Correa leads the team with a dozen RBIs. He has an opportunity here. That is a well-struck baseball by Springer. Springer on third, Altuve on first. Altuve credited with a base hit on that little ground ball. Up and in to Carlos. It's 2-0. Correa, the ninth batter of this inning. Checked his swing. 3-0. Correa has faced Vincent 8 times. He has 3 hits. He walked once and he struck out 4 times. He also has a sacrifice fly in that mix. That was a 3-0 slider for a strike. That's a little respect. See what he gets on 3-1. On the ground, base hit. Springer scores. Altuve heading first to third. He'll get there. Correa with RBI number 13 on the year, and the Astros are rolling. It is 7-1. You haven't had the color in this many blocks in a while.
No, I've really been waiting to use this highlighter, and it's getting abused right now.
This inning will continue with the 10th batter of the inning, but Scott Service back out to the mound, and it'll be a new pitcher to face Josh Reddick. Tell you about him when we come back.
Heavy Stroh poll. Again, thank you to everyone who votes in our Stroh poll. You can find us on Twitter at ATT Sportsnet SW. Which element of a baseball team, I should say, is most important to winning? Lineup consistency wins the poll tonight with 39%. Coming in second is pitching staff depth.
We got votes from all 50 states.
Yeah, you did.
Thanks, Julia. We have a new pitcher facing Josh Reddick. James Pazos, the lefty, facing the lefty Reddick.
Pazos pitched a couple of days ago in Oakland. Went 2/3 of an inning, hit a batter. Left-hander. He's got a fastball, reasonable velocity for a left-hander at 94 miles an hour. Also has a slider. Throw that fastball 85% of the time. Slider 15.
First and third, one out. Josh Reddick, the batter. And Reddick takes a strike. Reddick started this inning by walking against the starter, Mike Leake. Leake was lifted. Nick Vincent came on. And now Vincent out of the game, and Pazos is the new pitcher. Six runs in, one out in the inning. And on the hands of Josh, it's 1-1. This is the Mariners bullpen that last year Astros did a lot of damage against them. Although they're not alone. You can say that about the Twins. You can say that about other teams. Astros really scored a lot of runs late in games last season. At the knees, called third strike. Reddick goes down looking. Josh now 0 for 3. Did walk and score a run to start this inning, but that's the second out. So now Pazos will have to face Yuli Gurriel. Yuli had some good at bats yesterday facing the lefty Ariel Miranda. Inside, 1-0. Yuli doubled to get this inning rolling. He would come around to score on the Marwin Gonzalez single. Marwin has knocked in 2 this inning. George Springer has knocked in 2 this inning. Another scored on an error, and then Carlos Correa the other RBI. Towards the middle, a little flip from Cano to Segura for the fielder's choice, and that'll do it. But 11 men sent to the plate. The Astros score 6 in the inning, and they now lead 7-1 as we head to the 7th inning stretch. It's time now to take it to Kevin Eschenfelder in our Rooms to Go lounge as we head to the bottom of the 7th.
All right, thanks, Todd. I'm Kevin Eschenfelder in the Rooms to Go lounge. Hope you're enjoying the Astros and Mariners here on AT&T Sportsnet. And we want to remind you that we have more ways than ever to watch Houston Astros baseball. Download the AT&T Sportsnet app from iTunes or Google Play, or go to AT&TSportsnet.com to stream from your computer. Log in with your cable account information, and you're all set. Available to customers whose TV subscription includes AT&T Sportsnet and subject to blackouts.
With a special ticket, fans can enjoy beer tastings, live music, games, and more. For tickets and info, visit Astros.com/baseball on tap. A lot of great food choices around Safeco Field as we head to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Garrett Cole now working with a 6-run lead. He was in the dugout a long time in the top half of the 7th, but he will take the trade-off of the 6 runs scored. Facing Mitch Haniger, then Ben Gamble and Daniel Vogelback. One and one the count. Cole has retired 8 in a row. Last batter to reach was Haniger with a single in the 4th. He now leads off the 7th. This is that breaking ball. It's 1 and 2.
He's trying to hit a 6-run home run. We saw Cole in his first start up there in Arlington. The Astros gave him a little bit of a lead, and all of a sudden he's just started mowing through that Texas Rangers lineup. I'm sure he's having that same mentality here with that 6-run top of the 7th. Go out there, be aggressive, get those bats back out there.
That was pretty. On the outside corner at 95, Cole picks up his 5th strikeout.
It's a good start. He said when the fastball is being located on both sides of the plate, he's going to be in good shape, and that is perfectly located on that outside corner. And again, maybe early on in the season, he's created a reputation of throwing that curveball or slider in a 2-strike count. Locked up a pretty good hitter in Haniger with the fastball.
Now facing Ben Gamble. Takes a called strike. Cole does join that quartet that we mentioned earlier with 41 strikeouts or more in a player's first 4 games with a team. The other pitchers in that category: Pedro Martinez, Randy Johnson with 44, Chris Sale 42, and now Cole and Steven Strasburg with 41.
Those are big-time power pitchers.
That is big-time company.
Ooh.
And it's 1 and 2.
Would you win any ball games with that rotation?
Well, Garrett is approaching 100 pitches, and with that in mind, Joe Smith begins to warm up. It's going to be so much fun watching this year's rotation. Last year it was so much fun watching the offense. The offense is still intact, but watching these guys take a turn every 5 days, and they just kind of feed off each other. This is a Mariners team that's seeing 4 highly elite pitchers, and they're not seeing Justin Verlander.
I'm going to save him for the White Sox.
Right.
No, I think what's great too, it's one thing for us to recognize how good these guys are because the numbers bear it out. The video we've seen bears it out. Now watching them make their 3rd, 4th starts in the season bear it out. These guys know how good they are, and they want to be good as a group.
On the grounds, nicely stopped by Marwin on a couple of hops. Marwin can play everywhere and does so effortlessly. It makes a good play at 3rd. Time to name that Astro, brought to you by Nissan. Save me, career ender. Not a way to celebrate his day. Name that Astro. John Franco.
How about it?
John Franco finished his career with the Astros in 2005. Top 5 all-time in career saves.
How do you get ejected on John Franco Day?
Get in a fight.
Icing on the cake.
Ball hit hard. Correa can't get there. Altuve does, and Altuve makes the play from shallow right center.
That was awesome.
That was very special. Altuve and Correa talk about it on their way out. Garrett Cole threw 7.
There are Astros everywhere. Shift employed perfectly.
6-run seventh inning, lead this game 7-1. Garrett Cole has been outstanding. Doesn't have the big strikeout numbers, only 5 tonight, but 7 innings of 5-hit, 1-run baseball. Astros sending 11 to the plate in the 7th inning, and they'll start with Marwin Gonzalez. He knocked in 2 runs last inning as part of that 6-run 7th. It'll be Marwin, Brian McCann, and Evan Gattis. Marwin takes a strike. Marwin is 2 for 3. He has scored a couple of runs and knocked in a couple of runs. Scored the first run of the game in the 2nd inning. Now batting right-handed against the lefty James Pazos. This one is in the air towards the line. Haniger gets over there, has a play on it, and there's one away. There's been some crazy games today in Major League Baseball. One of them involved the team the Astros will see next. The White Sox and the A's played into the 14th today. How about this game? Down in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the Indians and the Twins were scoreless for the first 13 innings of the game.
Wow.
Indians scored 1 in the top of the 14th, and the Twins came back to tie it in the bottom of the 14th.
Some bullpens being shot early.
They now play on into the 16th.
That's incredible.
The last 2 games for the White Sox, McCann hammers 1 foul. Last 2 games for the White Sox, their bullpen has thrown over 300 pitches.
That's not good.
Including over 200 today, to the point where James Shields, who had to come in down to the bullpen, was supposed to start Friday's game. He ended up absorbing the loss in that 14-inning contest against the Oakland A's. They're heading back home tonight and have an off day tomorrow. And the Astros will see them on Friday. There's still some arms, though, that probably need a couple of days rest, so may not be available for the first game of that series.
Yeah, there's a couple guys adjusting the suits, their suit jackets, making the right arm or pitching arm a little bit longer than the other one.
McCann's had himself a good day. A couple of doubles and 3 at-bats. In on the hands. Brian got hit on the hand last night. Not only stayed in the game, but he's back there playing again tonight. But he is surely being protective, if at all possible, tonight.
Yeah, when you're swinging the bat like he is right now, you don't want to have anything happen. Just keep going with it.
McCann with an RBI and a run scored tonight. On the season, up to 361. This one lofted into left field where Ben Gamble is. And that's the 2nd out.
Give back to the Houston community by joining the Astros Foundation Volunteer Corps. Take part in volunteering on game day at Minute Maid Park. Help with craft parties at local hospitals and much more. Visit astros.com/volunteer to sign up now.
In that game in San Juan, both Barrios and Carrasco went 7 shutout innings, allowing just 3 hits. Big crowds on hand for those 2 games between Cleveland and Minnesota. Last night it was the Francisco Lindor show.
I think it's awesome that they went down there and played after all the tragedy and the effort to get Puerto Rico back on its feet, and still the power going out just recently. Anything good that baseball can bring down there, man, I'm all for it.
The island still mostly without power. They do have generators powering that stadium and the game down there between the Twins and the Cleveland Indians. Evan Gattis with a 1-1 count. Gattis has reached base last time on an error. Actually ended up scoring a run on that play. Officially 0 for 3 with a run scored. Joe Smith continues to warm up, which means it may be the end of Garrett Cole's night. If so, that'll be 4 straight starts for Garrett Cole, going exactly 7 innings.
That brings up a really good point. Along with all those great numbers that the Astros starters are putting up, they're also averaging just over 6 innings pitched per game. Everybody in that rotation piled up is averaging just over 6 innings pitched per game.
When you add a Verlander and a Cole to your rotation from the start of the year, that's going to lengthen out your average starts per game.
It's incredible. That's another thing you were talking about earlier, how they kind of feed off each other. You want that to kind of rub off on other guys. Well, he went 7. I want to go 7.
Yep.
Keuchel's got a CG. I want a CG.
Keuchel went 8 in this series. McCullers goes 7 last night. Cole goes at least 7 tonight. We'll see what AJ does with the 8.
Well, that's the other thing that was kind of interesting in the way the rotation's set up. Verlander goes deep in games. Keuchel typically goes deep in games. Lance McCullers is the one guy that really doesn't typically go deep. Charlie Morton's another guy that sometimes can get a little frustrated, get out of there early, but he broke up Garrett Cole and Dallas Keuchel with McCullers in between because there might be a chance to use the bullpen for Lance.
Evan Gattis has himself a base hit all the way to the center field wall. Gattis into second base with a double. And the Astros have a 2-out base runner. Here's the other thing the extended starts could possibly do for your team, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but last year, when you didn't have a Garrett Cole or Justin Verlander from the start of the year, you really needed an 8-man bullpen. And that bullpen, AJ, worked very well, but he needed all 8 of those guys. This year, there's guys that aren't getting a ton of work out there. You could at least consider a 7-man bullpen and an extra player on the bench if that person could contribute and help you win games. Extra
days off are going to be involved, so there is that opportunity. I agree with you in the sense that they could maybe back off.
Here's Derek Fisher, dialing one back, getting a chance to hit against the lefty. So we'll see how the Astros play it. Right now, they feel comfortable with a 3-man bench, and a lot of that has to do with the guy playing third base tonight, Marwin Gonzalez. And his flexibility makes a 3-man bench look like most teams' 4 or 5-man bench. Most teams don't have a 5-man bench, but even a 4-man bench, it gives them the flexibility.
Well, to carry that third catcher that AJ wanted too.
Yep. Garrett Cole joking around, looks like his night might be over. Another great start tonight, 7 innings of 1-run baseball. Started the night with an ERA of 1.29, and that is going to stay right there.
What do you mean great start? He only punched out 5 guys.
Oh wait, that was, yeah, the run was unearned. I stand corrected. His ERA drops.
But he only punched out 5. Where's the excitement in that? Lofty expectations for a great night for Garrett Cole.
So with the unearned run, if it was an earned run, he'd stay at 1.29. With the unearned run, he's now below 1.
Sub 1.
Sub 1 ERA after 4 starts. Thank you very much.
Yeah, get to know Garrett Cole pretty good. He's been nice to the Houston Astros uniform.
He will next pitch in the opener of the next homestand against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim as Derek Fisher goes down swinging. Pazos picks up a couple of strikeouts out of the bullpen, and we head to the bottom of the 8th.
Garrett Cole. Not a high strikeout night. He had to maneuver himself through the Seattle Mariners offense. They fouled off some tough pitches. He got some good defense behind him. An easy double play for these Houston Astros. But it was a lot of fun to watch not as sharp as we're accustomed to Garrett Cole work. The fastball was effective. He still got some of the strikeouts on that breaking ball. Did a good job of setting up that fastball to Mitch Haniger. But 7 strong from Garrett Cole. 1 run, 0 earned in the last 6 Astros starts. 43 innings, 59 punch-outs, 22 hits allowed in 43 innings, and a 1.88 ERA.
That is getting it done, and tonight Garrett Cole got stronger as the night went on. He retired the last 14 he faced. Joe Smith, the new pitcher. First batter he will face is Ichiro Suzuki. Ichiro coming on as a pinch hitter for the catcher David Freitas. So Ichiro, who last year set marks with the Miami Marlins for pinch hit appearances, gets a pinch hit here tonight for the Mariners. A little tougher in the National, or tougher in the American League than the National League. Last year, Ichiro with 109 pinch hit plate appearances and 100 pinch hit at bats, both MLB records. Tonight facing Joe Smith.
Joe's done all right here in recent days. Can't do much better than he did last time he was on the mound against Texas. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Picked up a W in that game. 1 pitch W.
Even better.
Ball on the ground, 1 hop. Yuli Gurriel will race to the bag himself. Ichiro always hustling down the line. And there's 1 out in the 8th. And a big hand from the crowd. Every time Ichiro does something here in Seattle, fans never know the last time they were watching him.
Yeah, there's a lot of residual appreciation for what he's done in that Seattle Mariner uniform.
Last night, Ichiro picked up a hit in his last at bat that gave him 3,087 in his major league career. Well, Smith gets an out. Now the top of the order, D. Gordon. Starts off D with a slider for a strike. It's 0-1. Fall relievers that come in here to Safeco Field. Joaquin Benoit has the longest active streak of scoreless baseball. He has gone 16 straight appearances without allowing a run. Second longest streak belongs to Joe Smith. His last 13 games here at Safeco have been clean. He also trails Benoit and Fernando Rodney. Those are the only 2 active pitchers that have appeared in more games than Joe Smith in his career. In the air, shallow left. On comes Fisher, still coming, makes the play. Out number 2. Astros pitching since the Mitch Haniger 1-out single in the 4th has been rolling along. 14 straight sent down by Garrett Cole. Now Joe Smith gets the first 2. The thing I love about Cole, in addition to the strikeouts that we've seen, he seems Verlander-like, and he seemed like trying to search for himself the first few innings tonight, and then he locked it in and got better with each inning. It didn't seem like he was really on top of his game those first 3 or 4 innings.
Yeah, and you know, being spoiled watching him rack up punch out after punch out in his first 3 starts. Today we actually saw him not as sharp, yet still go out there and only give up 1 run. I know it's not earned, but only 1 run on the board. That's where you kind of see the true test of these guys, and that's how you go out and get 30+ starts, is by finding ways to get through ball games even when you don't have your best stuff. And I would say arguably the best lineup he's seen too in these Seattle Mariners this season so far.
I'd agree with you. And 7 more innings, 7 innings in every start so far.
That's a nice trim. If you can become accountable like that, you're going to make a lot of friends out there behind that wall that are in the bullpen.
He's had a 200+ inning season 2 of the last 3 years. This is not a time in baseball where a lot of guys have 200 inning seasons.
Yeah.
So to see him rack up 2 of the last 3 and 28 innings in his first 4 starts, it's been fun to watch the beginning of Garrett Cole's Astros career. 1-2 the count on Gene Segura, 2 outs, nobody on, and Smith gets him swinging. Good slider to get Segura for the final out of the 8th. On we go to the 9th from Safeco Field. Astros 7-1. Toyota, what a 6-run 7th inning it was for the Astros. Yuli Gurriel, Marwin Gonzalez drives in 2. Yuli with a head first slide.
It's just a rake fest. Started to barrel up some pitches, finally got to Mike Lee. Nick Vincent comes in and he had no answers. He didn't get much help either. Usually a pretty good outfielder, Mitch Haniger botches that one, and it leads to George Springer hitting a bullet off that right center field wall. Brevin McGaddis score on that play. Altuve sneaking in an infield hit. Everybody that inning getting in on the action. Tell you what, they start to feel it. Watch out, this Astros offense could get going. That was a big 7.
George Springer up there for the 5th time tonight, as he faces a new pitcher, Chasen Bradford, on for the 2nd straight game. 3rd member of the bullpen for the Mariners used tonight. Nick Vincent came on in the 7th, as did James Pazos, and now Bradford on in the 9th. George has 2 base hits. That RBI double we saw as part of that 6-run 7th, also single to start the game, and it was hit by a pitch. He's officially 2 for 3. League pitched better than his final line will indicate, but the Astros sent 11 to the plate in that 7th inning. Bradford appearing in his 5th game of the season.
Pitched an inning last night, gave up a couple of hits, got out of it unscathed. Only threw 14 pitches. Not uncommon for a Seattle Mariner pitcher to out of the pitch back-to-back days out of that bullpen.
Fastball, sinker, slider against the righties, as he gets George on that slider, sending it to center field for the 1st out. I'll bring up Jose Altuve. Altuve 1 for 4 tonight with that infield hit, also grounded into a couple double plays and struck out. Astros trying to win yet again up here in Seattle. This has been a good place for them. They have gone 7-1 against the Mariners in their last 8 games, and overall at Safeco Field they have won 11 of their last 15.
He broke the sign.
Did he?
Yeah. Altavilla tried it last night, but on that last foul ball, snapped it.
Oh yeah, almost hit a bullseye right in the middle of that 0 circle.
Coming in hot.
Oh.
Just don't make them like they used to.
Here's how hard it is to get 200 hits. They're approaching 20 games here, starting to see what kind of pace guys are on. Altuve coming into tonight had 22 hits, 18 games. Seems like a good little pace going. That's actually a pace for 198.
Oh.
So I mean, that's how hard it is. He's hitting .314 starting the night. Played every game. 22 hits in 18 games is a pace for 198. He's got 1 hit tonight, so it's not going to add any more to that pace. In fact, it'll drop it a little unless he gets a 2nd hit. It's just really hard to imagine doing what he has done for 4 straight years. And Ichiro's one of the only few in the building that can appreciate that.
It's a big number.
You basically have to always be in there.
Yeah, I would say you're not going to play 162 games. If you played 162 games, you'd need 38 extra hits if you got to hit every game.
Right.
That doesn't happen. Altuve plays a ton of games. He rarely wants out of the lineup or even needs time out of that lineup.
4 straight years of 200 or more. Tonight, Haniger bidding for a catch, but Jose ends up with 2. That'll put that pace back over 200 for the season. Altuve, a little flare to right, drops in for a base hit.
And he just gave the look to the dugout and hands to the side and said, "Yeah, that's what I do. I get hits." That ball is barely on our MD Anderson strike zone, and he just flicks it out there. The ball was in the air what felt like a half an hour.
Haniger's made some really good plays this season. Tonight has not been his best night of defense. Here's Carlos Correa. Correa 2 for 4, a double, an RBI single. Bradford starts him out with a strike on the swing on the slider. Correa has that average back up over 300. Quick turnaround for these two teams tomorrow. Lance McCullers pitching last night's game, going 7 innings, followed by Garrett Cole 7 innings tonight. Tomorrow they will hand the ball off to Charlie Morton. He'll be opposed by the lefty Marco Gonzalez.
Making fun of Jose Altuve just getting hits every way possible. That hit probability percentage is the same as the number on his back.
Really?
27% chance that's a hit. That's all he needs.
Just a chance. I think his teammates know he's not the king of exit velocity. He does get ugly hits.
Oh yeah. If you're going to rack up 200 plus hits, there's going to be some ugly ones mixed in there.
He also has the great speed, so if he's those little slow choppers in the infield like he did earlier in the game, he can beat those out. Pitch misses to Correa. Starting things out here tomorrow at 12:40 for a first pitch, which puts us at 2:40 Central Time, which means we'll be on the air at 2 o'clock with our pregame show. Hey, congrats to the Rockets tonight.
Yeah, big game. They played well.
102 to 82 as they win game 2 and take a 2-0 lead on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Run is one. Go Rockets.
They will now head to Minneapolis for the weekend. Their Target Center is right across the street from where we were last road trip at Target Field.
A little bit better conditions inside that arena.
Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Correa fights one off, staying alive at 2-2. So Rockets up 2-0 in their best of 7 as they embark on their 2018 championship run. It's been quite a season for Houston Athletics. The Astros with their first World Series title. Injuries derailed the Texans season, but now the Rockets, the #1 seed. Vogelback keeps that ball fair on a couple of hops down the first baseline, steps on the bag. And Correa's out. Carlos was running down the line and trying to say foul ball, but Trip Gibson and Adrian Johnson were on the call together.
Reddick had a walk in that big 7th inning. Nice to see him get on the ledger with a knock here on the road. Good time to do it. Off speed in a 1-0 count. Gives him the 2-0 count. Sit on that heater. If it gets in the zone, let it rip. Pick up an RBI in the process too would be nice.
Dozen hits for the Astros. That ball's ripped.
Yeah, he got ready for the heater. A little too ready.
Now Altuve with a flare single to right, the runner on second base, 2 outs in the ninth. Astros with a 6-run seventh. That's the difference in this game, leading at 7-1. Manfred last year pitched for the New York Mets. Speaking of guys that have pitched for the Mets, Colin McHugh looks like he'll get the 9th inning.
He's earned it. His pregame antics getting a lot of credit on Twitter.
Two misses his 3-2. Game finally ended at Hiram Beathorn Stadium in San Juan, 2-1. The Twins end up walking it off. That was at least 16 innings, may have gone to the 17th.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Not.
Not 16. It ended in 16, Blower.
Hey.
This ball is rocketed. Does it stay fair? No.
Good grief.
Josh hit that a long way, but foul.
Thunderous out. He's got a couple of fastballs in this AB and hitters counts. Just gotten a little bit too quick. Trying to stay back on that 91 mile an hour heater. Just a click early.
Ryan Lamar walked it off with a single, and the hero locally, Eddie Rosario, scored the game-winning run.
There you go.
So you have Francisco Lindor winning one game and Eddie Rosario the other. Worked out perfectly. Can't write the script any better in Puerto Rico. It'll pop up on the left side, and Seager makes the play. That'll do it for the Astros in the ninth. We'll see Colin McHugh to try and get the final 3 outs in this 7-1 game. Let's go places. By Jack in the Box. Try the new Cholula Buttery Jack, part of the Buttery Jack family. And by Ram. Hurry in and get a great deal during the Ram Spring Sales event. Astros and Mariners head to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Those Astros fans are enjoying this score, which is in favor of the Astros, 7-1. A couple of Altuve jerseys and a Springer jersey.
Represent. We like it. We know that we've got Astro fans all over the country and a little bit outside the country.
We had quite a roll call earlier tonight, if you're just joining us, from fans from all 50 states and various parts of the world outside of the U.S. as Colin McHugh takes over in the bottom of the ninth.
Good to see Colin out there. 4 games this season, the ERA at 1.35, making the adjustment to the bullpen. Through 2 innings. Last time we saw him was on the 10th in Minnesota. He went 2 innings, gave up 1 hit, had 5 punch-outs.
Facing the tough part of the order for the Mariners, Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, Kyle Seager, 3, 4, and 5. Cano 1 for 3 has driven in the only run for the Mariners tonight with a single to center field. And McHugh misses on the first 2 deliveries.
And having not pitched in a week, you kind of expect location maybe to be a little bit of an issue.
Obviously, AJ trying to get work into guys that haven't been used in a while. We mentioned this starting rotation, and an 8-man bullpen doesn't leave a lot of innings. Tony Sipp was activated today, so he's the 8th member of the bullpen now. James Hoyt head back towards Fresno. Hoyt hadn't been used since the day after Colin McHugh before he was sent out. He didn't have a lot of time to work up here at the big league level. McHugh comes back after being down 2-0. It's now 2-2. Garrett Cole for 7 innings of 1-run baseball. That run was unearned. It was unearned due to his own error as he threw a ball away after a D. Gordon bunt. Joe Smith on for a 1-2-3-8, and now Colin McHugh's turn. Astros facing a left-hander tomorrow. They have seen a lot of lefties this week. Tomorrow will be Marco Gonzalez. Saw James Paxton and Ariel Miranda earlier in this series. Faced Mike Minor and Cole Hamels in the Texas series. So they're in a stretch here, facing 5 lefties in 7 games. That'll change when they go to Chicago. AJ will see all right-handers against the White Sox, at least as scheduled now. Cano keeps battling McHugh. It stays 2-2. Post-game show will be from right here at Safeco Field. Colin.
It's interesting he just threw that pitch at 94. I was looking back through the notes and some of the scouting reports that we get from Stats Inc. And Colin is a guy who can rear back when he wants to, but averaging 92 miles an hour on his fastball coming out of that bullpen. So that's a good sign.
Staying pretty much away with the fastball on Cano. Now they want to come inside, and he punches one into center field. On comes George Springer. And George makes the play for out number 1 in the 9th. Cano had some success against McHugh, battled him in that at bat. Now McHugh will face Nelson Cruz. Cruz has popped up, grounded into a double play, and flied out to left. Mariners, after winning that first game of this series 2-1 on Monday night, actually flipped the Astros in the standings. Moved into second place, half game ahead of Houston. Astros got that right back last night with a win. Now trying to extend their lead over Seattle to a 1.5 games. Both teams looking up to the Angels, although the Angels are in trouble again tonight against the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox lead 7-0 in Anaheim in the 8th inning. Astros with a chance to pick up 2 games in 2 days against the Angels.
Alex Cora got the keys to the Ferrari and dropped the hammer.
the Red Sox hold on to that 7-run lead, they will be 15-2 on the season and have won 6 straight games. They continue to get great pitching in Boston or wherever Boston's playing. Tonight it was Rick Porcello with 6 shutout innings. 0-2 pitch. Cruz goes down swinging. Colin McHugh picks up a strikeout. Out number 2. Astros pitching has 7 strikeouts tonight. Cole had 5. Well off his season average of a dozen per game, but that wasn't going to continue. And then 1 for Joe Smith and 1 for Colin. So the Mariners down to their last out. It's Kyle Seager. Astros pitching has done a good job in this series. 2 runs for Seattle in game 1. 1 run tonight. It was an unearned run. And 1 run last night.
Colin's guy who's not unaccustomed to punch outs in Seattle. His first start as an Astro was a 12 punch out game here in Seattle.
Ahead of Seager 0-1. That catches the corner. And now the Mariners down to their final strike. Seager struck out, flied out, and grounded out. Offensive stars for the Astros tonight include George Springer with 2 RBI double. Ryan McCann with a couple of doubles. Marwin Gonzalez with a couple of RBIs.
6 hitters with multi-hit games.
Spread the wealth.
They can do that.
Altuve had 2 hits. Correa had 2 hits.
Melissa. Gosh, now she's got to go chase it down.
Swing and a miss. That'll do it. Colin McHugh picks up a strikeout to end the game. McHugh strikes out the last 2 hitters, and the Astros, with that big 7th inning, sending 11 men to the plate, scoring 6 runs. That was the difference tonight as they win game 3 of this 4-game series 7-1. They will go for a series victory tomorrow with a day game starting with our pregame show at 2 o'clock Central. Plenty more to go tonight. We're going to host the postgame show from right here in Seattle. So stay tuned for that. Astros win at 7-1.